Good morning and welcome back to BIFA Link TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today I'm joined once again by Ian Matheson for What the Papers Say. So Ian, thank you so much for joining me. How have you been?
I'm pretty good, thank you, Brooke, and I hope you're well too.
I am, thank you. So what have we coming up for this week?
Well, I thought I'd change it around a bit this week and start with air cargo, if that's okay with
Ooh,
you.
make a nice little change.
Yeah. According to the data provider at Zenita, the first signs of the impact of stricter requirements around the e-commerce logistics were visible in February's air cargo data, while the overall market continued to grow. Air Cargo News reported that figures released by Zenita show that in February, air cargo demand increased by 4% year on year. The dynamic load factor was flat at 59%, and the average spot rate was up 10% to 2.53 US dollars per kg. But it's worth noting that Zenita also said there was a taste of what's to come with stricter rules around e-commerce shipments when rates from Shanghai to the USA fell by 29% month on month in February to 3.23 US dollars per kilo.
Right, okay. And of course we'll pop a link to that article in the description so members can read that in full.
Yeah, it's well worth a read. Yeah. Going back into the my more favoured mode, ocean freight. Industry analyst Drury reported last week that while ocean container rates um, have significantly retreated from the pandemics that were reached in during that period, they still exceed the levels that were reached during the pre-pandemic period. Drury said that it could indicate what is likely to be a new normal in container
Mhm.
shipping costs.
Yeah,
And they said that that could have a cascading effect on trucking, intermodal,
yeah,
and
of course.
related logistics services throughout the global supply chain. Some figures for your viewers. The latest Drury World Container Index shows a 7% decrease in the composite index, which now stands at $2,368 per 40-foot container. And apparently that marks the lowest point since January 2024 and represents a dramatic 77% decline from the pandemic era peak of 10,377 US dollars, which was recorded in September 2021.
And of course, like you said, Ian, they still remain higher than that pre-pandemic level. I think it was 67% higher, if I remember correctly.
That's right, about 1,420 US dollars in 2019.
Right, okay.
Staying with container shipping, the Container Trades Statistics Organization reported that global container volumes in January reached 15.4 million TEU.
Right, okay.
Apparently, that marks a 5.8% increase year on year, but actually a 4% decline from December 2024.
Right. And of course, again, it's looking like an uncertain time in container shipping, isn't it?
It certainly is, and I'm not going to mention the T word.
Save
Um,
that for next week's episode, eh?
Yes, absolutely. Rachel Taylor, the
Mhm.
MP who chairs the All Party Parliamentary Group for Freight and
Right, okay.
Logistics, is bringing forward a 10-minute rule motion in Parliament this week, I understand.
Hmm.
That's going to call on the government to introduce a specific crime code so that police forces across the country can better monitor freight offences.
Right, okay.
It's all in response to recent freight crime figures that the Road
Mhm.
Haulage Association has described as spiralling out of control. The latest figures were actually published last Wednesday and showed a significant increase in the value of losses from goods stolen from lorries, which was up nearly two-thirds to £111.5 million in 2024. The figures actually they highlight the fact that freight crime is becoming more serious, more organised, and more intelligence led, and it's something I know BIFA is doing quite a bit behind the scenes to try to do something about or help members do
Yeah.
something about.
Yeah, it's something that we've reported quite frequently on in Beef Link magazine. And of course, anything to help put these criminals behind bars, I guess it's a job well done, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Staying with government affairs, did you see that plans for the £750 million Hinkley National Rail Freight interchange in Leicestershire have been refused by the government?
Yes, I did.
You
Yeah.
did, yeah. It's ruled up. The government apparently has ruled that the expected benefits were outweighed by the potential negative
Mhm.
impacts. Um, I think you remember that the developer, it's a company called Tritax Symmetry, had wanted to build the interchange on 662 acres of farmland between Hinckley and Leicester.
Yeah. And of course, I know Tritax is quite disappointed about that. And I think they're seeking legal advice on how to go forward, aren't they?
They are. The government also unveiled the planned locations of 54 new infrastructure hubs around the UK, which include electronic charging and hydrogen refueling infrastructure. And as I think you know, Brooke, the goal is to support the development, uptake, and demonstrate the commercially available zero emission HGVs.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's also their aim is to provide the critical infrastructure to help the haulage sector decarbonise and the UK to transition to having a zero emission road freight sector.
Yeah, of course. And it sounds like a great start forward to get that cleaner transport and also accelerate us closer to that zero emissions target that you mentioned.
Yeah, and it strengthens the supply chain resilience ultimately, I
Yes, of
suspect.
course. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ian, as always, for bringing this to our attention. We will pop a link to all of the articles that we've discussed today in the description below so you can have a read through all of them. Thank you so much for watching today's edition of BeefLink TV, your daily dose of industry information.